Okay. Hello. I'm out on a walk. I always get embarrassed when people are walking by me and I'm doing videos. I'm just talking to my phone. Um, this is another guy walking his dog. I wanted to have a conversation about grains because that's probably one of the most common questions I get. Um, because I mean, so there's so many different layers of the conversation of breads and grains because yes, it can be part of a healthy wellness plan. Now, there are stages of getting there though. If you are in a chronic state of illness, if you have digestive issues, if you're having skin problems, if you have any type of cancer, if you have any type of like any type of a digestive issue, whether it be IBS, leaky gut, constipation issues, chronic, off and on diarrhea, constipation, um, if you have troubles going to the bathroom every day, if you have skin issues that pop up all the time, eczema, psoriasis, um, any type of rash, moles, if you have chronic headaches, if you have teeth issues, if you have literally any type of issue that needs to be addressed with a detox diet, which is essentially an elimination diet. And I'm going to start speaking to it that way because I think the word detox catches people. And to be honest, it has for me as well. The word detox I hate because it's so overused. And often we think detox means some sort of weekend cleanse or something that you buy in a store, or just juices or, simple things. I hope this isn't bothered. The wind isn't terrible. I might turn around, go the other way. Anyways, so to purify the body is a concept of removing all the excess waste and the overload that your body is carrying that is weakening and slowing down organ function, lymphatic drainage, elimination channels. So, our main elimination channels are um, kidneys, bowels, skin, breath. If any of those things are low, weak, stagnant, then your body is not functioning the way that it is supposed to. Um, so if your body is overloaded in that way, I don't like using the word toxic either, but for some reason that seems to be kind of the easiest thing to say for people to catch on to. But I also think it's the easiest thing for people to kind of be like, nah, toxins. We talk too much about toxins. It's not just about toxic exposure or the things that you eat in your food. It has to do with environment, how you're living your life, the excess in your body. It is the buildup inside of your body due to the way you're eating, and the body is unable to eliminate. It becomes part of the toxic overload in your system, and it can be a variety of different things. Um, it can be from your water source, it can be from your food, it can be from medications you take, it can be from vaccines you take, it can be from the products that you use in your home as far as cleaning products, body many different factors that contribute to the overload. I call it toxic overload. It is the overload inside your body. And it's not just about that thing is toxic. It's your body is able to properly eliminate a certain amount of what we'll call toxins each day, whether that be from your foods, from your environment. I mean, that's a good example. Power cords, electrical pollution, all of these things that your body is exposed to. You are able to properly eliminate some of it. That's what your body is created to have a natural detoxification process. Yes, that is what our bodies are able to do. And skin, bowels, all of that helps in cleaning that stuff out. But when you exceed your overload each day, it starts to accumulate day after day after day. And then you have chronic illness symptoms showing up, and then cancers develop. And that is where we end up with chronic disease. It is from days upon years and decades of daily excess overload. It's like we call it a threshold, the daily threshold. If you're exceeding that every single day, then you come up with extreme accumulation over time, over years, over weeks, years, decades. So, in order to clean yourself out, in order to get the regenerative detox protocol, the purification process, is you need to eliminate everything that has contributed to it. That means an extreme elimination diet and only eating foods that help cleanse. And that is where the fruits come in. Even vegetables aren't exactly cleansing. So there is a purpose to ground veggies, which are the underground. There's a below the ground and underground factor. Under the ground veggies tend to be more grounding for the body. There is a purpose to that at some point in a purification protocol, but not in the initial detox. When you are doing deep cleansing, the more grounding veggies are more acidic, and you're just adding acidity to the body, and it actually makes it more difficult for you to enhance the elimination. So you don't want the ground vegetables, the things under the ground. You want above the ground veggies, and the more sweet fruits, the more hydrating fruits, the ones that have the most water or moisturized. So we're looking at more of like your berries, your melons, your like fruits from fruit trees, the citrus. Those are going to support in this cleansing. It's not even just, it's deep detox. So that supports that whole process. So in this stage, you don't want any breads or grains. Pretty much nothing other than fruit, which can extend for a period of time as long as necessary. To analyze we have to kind of analyze how the body is responding throughout this process based on the symptoms that you experience personally of whether to keep going and do more of the fasting or the fruits, or to adjust it to go to like mono fruits, or to go into a fasting period, or if we need to pull back a little bit that the symptoms are too heavy and you want to more of the vegetables to slow it down. Bringing in a salad will slow your detox. So we kind of play, it's a balancing game. It's not just linear, okay, all fruit, we're going to fruit forever until we're done with our detox. No, we have to weigh out what's happening in the body, because if you're having heavy detox, we're going to say healing symptoms, because that's what's happening. Your body is now working on eliminating and cleaning and healing. So there's a purpose to all of it. And if the symptoms are super heavy and uncomfortable for you, we add in foods that help moderate it, ease up that healing process a little bit before kind of going back into it. And that's kind of a careful process. That's why having someone like me, a naturopath, a detox specialist, herbalist, whoever is trained in this, is important, because they can help you assess the symptoms that you're feeling from day to day, because it can differ from day to day. And then once you get through that, because there's a transition phase, which is what brings you into an all fruit diet. There's the detox, the purification phase, which is the process of eliminating your wastes with an elimination diet. And then there's the maintenance phase, which is reintroducing foods that are going to help rebuild your body, help regenerate. Usually this is the phase where you're going to start seeing more of the rebuilding happen. You usually will not see the regeneration of the tissues, and you'll start to, maybe if your disease has been quite severe, and it'll start kind of rebuilding right away as you're detoxing. But you're going to see more significant regeneration and rebuilding happen in the maintenance phase. So it's actually one of the most important parts is coming out of just say you've been on mono meals and fasting for 3 months. How you come out of that is really going to impact how your body rebuilds and how strong it is in building. Or it's going to get overloaded again. So, and people do that. I've not. I went full detox before my second child was born, and then I ended up probably worse now than I was before that. Or not right now, I mean, last year was pretty significant. I'm now in the purification. I'm still in the late purification stage, I guess, starting to introduce more foods back in. I had done a whole lot of fasting and just fruits for the last 6 months or so. And I'm starting to introduce more foods because I felt that call inside my body. And that's where the intuition becomes a big factor, is you need to start reading your own body. It's not just a process of me telling you what to do. It is a reading of the body and knowing how your body reacts and responds to certain foods. And that is where this playing with breads and grains comes in, because you can start reintroducing foods in, but you want to be very intentional about quality, source, and combining, meaning the quality of what's being made. You don't want just the cheap old white bread from Walmart. It's barely bread. To sourcing, as in, I just got a challah bread from the farmer's market for my boys. It was amazing. And that's kind of what enticed this talk, is because we've gone gluten-free, but I think there is a whole lot of nuance to what that means, because I think even a lot of the gluten-free products are crap. If you look at all the ingredients, there's a whole lot of junk in a lot of the gluten-free products. And paying attention to that is important, because just because it's gluten-free doesn't actually mean it's good for you. It's the same with vegan. Just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's good for your body. It doesn't mean that your body is going to respond well to it. I've hated a lot of the gluten-free products, not necessarily because they taste bad, but because my body didn't respond well to them. So this is where, when it comes to breads and grains, and I'm talking like regular bread, whether you want to do wheat, buckwheat, millet, and then we add in grains. I like einkorn flour, by the way, for breads and baking and stuff. And then we get into grains, where you have like quinoa, amaranth, wild rice is probably one of my favorites. We have quite a bit of wild rice here in Wisconsin. A lot of it found just in northern Wisconsin. Even in our area, there's a lot of great sources of wild rice. So again, that's a sourcing thing. When you know you can buy a rice that is literally from these like little water bogs, I guess you could say, an hour away, that source is great. It's a wild rice. It's not sprayed or hybridized in the way a lot of modern wheats have been. And then doing a great bread from a farmer's market, where you can talk to the person and know how they made it. There's a guy at the farmer's market who does really traditional style baking with pretzels and stuff. He uses like, he says it's the German way of making pretzels, which uses very particular products. I can't remember if it was using the lye, I think it is. Anyways, knowing how it's being made, what ingredients are being made, what intention is being put into it, even just the intention of making a homemade bread, whether it be someone from the farmer's market or you're making it for your own family, adds a different frequency to it versus things that are factory made. There's no care and heart put into factory created foods. They're just thrown through the mechanisms created and thrown on the shelf to make a sale. Um, so, intention behind the product is extremely important. Rices, again, I like wild rices, but there's also benefit in some of the organic basmati and jasmine, Asian sourced um, rices, because the majority of rices, white rice in particular, and brown rice is not better than white rice. Brown rice is not better than white rice. That's another misconception. Why do I have these little spiders all over my phone right now? Brown rice is not better than white rice. I would choose an organic basmati or jasmine over any brown rice. So that's another factor. And reintroducing these in small quantities, separate from other food categories. You want to start when introducing foods in single categories, because once you start combining with other foods, you're going to have more upset stomachs happening, you're going to have constipation happening, you're going to have issues, and you're not going to know exactly which food is causing the problem. You need to know what food is bothering you, and if it's a quality issue, if it's a sourcing issue, or if it's that food is something that your body doesn't like. And you can make a bunch of adjustments and changes and try to see what works best or eliminate it completely. I'm not someone who eats bread really anymore. It's just I've tried all the different things and it's just not really worth it to me at this point. That bread we had today was very good, but it did still feel heavy. I feel better now. Like immediately after eating, it felt a little heavy in my stomach, probably just because I don't eat bread often. Like I have a burger and I don't use bread because I've not found any good, and they're vegan burgers, by the way. I have not found any good like hamburger bun, even the so-called good ones in the store. No, I haven't found any that is actually good and tastes good. So I just go without the bread. I don't do subs anymore. I don't even do wraps. And that's just, it works for me because I figured out other ways to eat that to where it doesn't bother me. And again, you can just eating well for most of the time, and then you have kind of that one meal on Friday night that isn't super great. That's not going to make or break you. Like you're going to notice the difference in your body, and you can choose whether you want to do it again or not. But I certainly won't be doing that often. If you're still feeling extreme symptoms of upset by particular foods, you might have to keep doing some more detox. Like there might be deeper issues that haven't been fully resolved yet. So I would stay on all fruit for a while and maybe start reintroducing down the line. Like it can take years to fully cleanse your system, years upon years. Say, for example, I turned 40 this year. Aside from, I think, 3 years I was really fully raw. Aside from those 3 years, I've eaten foods that have not agreed with me. I've eaten high fruit for the most part in the last 5 years. Prior to that, so I think it would have been 2014 that I went fully raw. And I was born in 1986. So basically all the years before that, I've been accumulating waste in my system. And I had medications, I had birth controls, I had not great diet growing up. So it's years of accumulation. So it's not going to clean out of your body overnight. It's not going to happen in a month, even 2 months. You need to give yourself at least a good solid year of dedication, and you're going to see huge results, not only in the reduction and elimination of chronic disease in your body. You're going to notice the spiritual benefits. You're going to notice the emotional benefits. You're going to notice changes in your consciousness, how you relate to people, how you see the world, how you connect with nature. There's so much that comes with a higher frequency way of eating. And as you start to notice those changes, it changes your life. And once you do that, then you're going to have much less desire to go back to the things that kind of dulled you down. There was a lot of dulling down of the soul, numbing out, that has kept you in that way of living. It's usually a lot of addictive behaviors, even just conditioned behaviors, conditioning that we're supposed to have a meat, potato, and veggie meal every night because that's how we grew up eating. Why is it serving us? It's not. So, breaking down your meals and figuring out food combining, meaning you don't want to put starches with meats, you don't want to put starches or meats with fruits, you want to keep fruits separate, you don't want to have grains and breads of any kind with your meat or your veggies or your fruits. Like, you have to be really careful. Fruits should always be separate from everything else. Sweet fruits and melons in particular. You can lightly steam or cook things like peppers, tomatoes, zucchini, and combine that with other foods. But you still have to be very careful, listen to how your body responds, be careful about any oils that you use. You really don't want to be cooking oils very minimally, and choosing the right oil if you are heating it. I don't heat coconut oil at a high heat. I don't like really cooking with that at all. That's more of a baking oil or oil pulling. That's probably the only reason we use it. If we're steaming veggies, I usually use avocado oil. No, yeah, or extra virgin olive oil. And baking, I usually use the extra virgin olive oil. And again, that's another sourcing issue. Most of the oils in the store are junk. So sourcing those appropriately. There's so much nuance to get into because it's not just a matter of eliminate all of this, eliminate all of that, only eat that. It's not that cut and dry because there is a huge factor of quality and sourcing in our food industry today. Most of what you find in the store isn't great, or most of it is junk. But if you find it at a farmer's market, find it locally, foraging, you're going to have a much different reaction and response in your body. It's actually going to be more nourishing. Make it yourself, grow it yourself, produce it yourself. Meat is one where I honestly, at this point, I don't care where you're getting it from. If you're cooking it, if you're killing an animal and you're cooking it, you're eating dead carcass. And it is not a high frequency food, and it never will be. Same with dairy. If you are raising a cow for yourself, for your family, not breeding and exploiting them to sell people dairy, and you only use your milk, raw milk, that would maybe be okay. But there's a whole lot of karma and energy extraction that comes when you are breeding and exploiting animals solely for taking their milk or killing them. And you're not going to get a good quality anything when you are treating animals in that manner. It just is what it is. So I don't think there is honestly any circumstance at this point where I can justify or say that the consumption of meat or dairy is going to be beneficial for your healing. I don't think either of those serve a purpose in a healing protocol. Like I said, in very few occasions, maybe a raw milk, but you better know that farmer really well, and you better know how they care for that cow really well. Otherwise, there's no need. There's plenty of alternative products now. Yes, be very conscious of what the ingredients are. Butter, for example, I use Earth Balance. We don't use it often, very rarely. I made a garlic butter for our bread. I just melted the butter, added a little garlic powder, and that was it. Super tasty. Otherwise, it's probably only for baking is what we use butter for. And that butter we have in there has probably been in there a couple months. So we don't go through enough for me to really care about perfect quality. Yeah, I think that's what I got on that, because I know the question around breads and grains is always a hard one to say yes or no to, because there's so much to explain. And that kind of goes for a lot of the foods, but breads and grains in particular, because there's a lot of intention and care to how it's being made and where you're getting it. So ask any more questions or your comments, experiences in the comments would be great.